Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all. Real estate experiment. What is happening, y'all? Today I got my boy Antoine. About time, man. Shoot, it's been too long.
I know.
My boy, we got a special connection. We got the Canadians taking over. I really think we're making a takeover. You know how many times I'll be like, I'll be watching just entrepreneurs Canadian like this.
I know. There's a lot of them. A lot of actors and comedians too.
Exactly. We're making a run. It's a takeover. So we should have had the Canadian flag in the back here, but no, man, we were overdue because what I really like of having Antoine on the show is I was just telling Antoine a little bit about my background, but it's about him. He's going to tell you about where he comes from. But the reason why I'm really thrilled to have Antoine in the lab with us because, you know, he's like us. A lot of my followers are millennials. And, you know, the goal is to come into the lab where a lot of us in our networks are entrepreneurs, and we're trying to bridge that gap between entrepreneurship and real estate as a long-term kind of investment strategy and business, which Antoine will be glad to tell you of how he got started. So this Refreshing, it's actually been a millennial week, and I won't plug your book in yet, but we will definitely have to talk about what you're doing. You got a great podcast, great following. He's crushing it. If you guys are not following his content, and we are long overdue because we've actually been engaging way early back when I started the real estate experiment, which was 2 years ago. Actually,
holy shit, is it really?
Right? Don't blink, man! Like it's crazy. And I'm glad to have you in here because you were way ahead of the game already, young and hungry. And I'm really stoked to have you on the show, man. We've all made some progress. I want to hear, you know, who is Antoine? Who was Antoine before you started, man? You started talking about it, and then who are you today? So
yeah.
Before, man, take me back to like. You know, just recently all kind of got out of school relatively soon. So what was that deal of real estate? How did that happen for you?
Well, let's start even before that. Like, because I moved to the States when I was 5 from Canada, as we talked about, from Toronto. And then once I came to the States, I was 5 years old. So I grew up in San Francisco, the Bay Area. And when I was about 8 years old, my mom opened up a little retail store. She was selling low-carb health products. So my dad had to work full-time to get us citizenship. So then my mom was kind of the entrepreneur. So on my days off, summer, I was with my mom doing work pretty much and helping her with whatever business she was working on. So first thing was that low-carb health store. I was like 8 years old with a box cutter and like chopping up boxes and stacking shelves and setting up the store. Once the store was set up, I was running cash register, and like, it's not something she asked me to do. It was like, I want to do this, Mom. And, you know, like I would help them set up the entire store, and I kind of just knew where stuff should be laid out and how it should be laid out. And then I started running the cash register, and it was like the time of my life at that store. I wanted to go to the store every day. And so I did that for probably like a year or two whenever I wasn't in class. And then later on, my mom started a sauce business, where she got into like Whole Foods and Cost Plus and blah, blah, blah. So started helping her with that business, and then learned a ton about that whole retail space and all that kind of stuff. So kind of learned a lot while I was young through my mom about being an entrepreneur, what it takes, the hard work, the hustle, the networking, the 24/7 grind, right? And then you see my dad too, doing the same exact thing, but coming home, working for somebody else, pissed off about working for somebody else. While my mom was working and hustling, and, you know, but at the end of the day, she was still happy, you know, even though she wasn't making as much money as my dad was to pay the bills, at least she was, you know, enjoying the process. So that's a kind of really interesting insight as well too, as I look back on it. And then I started when I was probably like 13 or 14, importing stuff from China through Alibaba. Just came out.
13 and 14, you were drop shipping from the.
Yep.
Oh man,
so,
that's crazy. So you got an early I guess execution on your part,
because I think Alibaba came out around that time, which was around like 10 years ago, let's say, because I'm 24 now. So yeah, 13 to 14, started just importing shit, and I was buying stuff by not the pallet, but it was like 10, 12 boxes like it was heavy stuff I was packing in. There was like, it was when like the weed socks became very popular.
Yeah.
They were sold in Zoomies for like $40.
Yeah.
So I went to Alibaba, and I bought them for like $4. and then I would sell them to kids at school for $20, and I was just making a killing with these bloody socks. Yeah.
I'm curious, how'd you find out about, not to interrupt you, how'd you find out about AliExpress at 13, 14? Like typical 13-year-old. Like, just can you remind me of where you were going through in your head at the time?
It was either my dad had told me about it. My dad's very entrepreneurial as well, but he's always been a 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. hustler. So a side hustle kind of guy, because he had to work, right? So after, after work and stuff, I would, my mind was always going with business ideas or how to make money. And I purposefully cleared out my bank account every week so that I would force myself to go and find a new way to make money. And I would put all my money in my savings, and I was training myself to sell shit just growing up, which was really interesting, because I was like, if I show money in my bank account and I see it on I didn't even have a phone, but if I go to the teller and they tell me how much money I have in my bank account, I'm not going to feel the need to go and work or to hustle, right? So I was like, I would just tell the teller to move it all to the savings, and then I would have $100 in my bank account and $2,000 in my savings, but I would never see it. And I was like, I only have $50, so I got to go hustle to make some more money. And I would sell soda at school because they stopped selling soda because of the sugar. There was some ban in California. So I went to the grocery store, bought a bunch of 12 or 24 packs of soda because it was a 2-for-1 special, and sold them all at school until the school was pissed off. So that's Antoine growing up, dude, just hustling and selling whatever I could and trying to make $1 here and there. And then as I got more into high school, I got more into the mobile apps. The tech thing was blowing up, and I made an app actually when I was in high school. I was 16 years old. The app got 100,000 downloads, and then 100,000 downloads in 3 to 4 months. Yeah. What? And then it got shut down.
Wait, what was it? What was the app about?
All right, the app was about it's pretty interesting. So because it comes full circle now to where I am today with all the Instagram stuff. So it was an app that you would download. You would sign in through your Instagram through an API through Instagram. You would like other people's photos through the app, which would connect to the API. And every like that you gave, you received a coin. And with those coins, you can use them to kind of boost your own posts so that they would show up on the app, so that people would come and so that you can pretty much, it's like for a like, except just all through an app. So because at that time, I think Instagram it was starting to come up and getting popular and stuff like that. So there was a whole like for like phenomenon going on. I was like, fuck, we should just make an app so that everybody can. And I hired guys in India at 16 years old, hired guys in India to make me an app, and I got 100,000 downloads. And then the API got shut off because of the amount of traffic through the API. So Instagram.
That's a good problem to have, man.
So Instagram shut it down.
Wait, that's wild. I had no idea. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, I was making a couple $100 a day, because then I started selling coins. So then I would sell coins, and people would come and I'd sell $200 or $300 a day in coins for those couple of months, and made all my money back for the cost to build the app and
developing, that.
Yeah. So there's tons of little stories like that throughout the years. And then once I got into college, I got a little bit more serious. Okay, I need to actually figure out something. I don't want to get a real job.
Yeah. And you actually studied entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah. So I grew up in the Bay Area, then I went to community college there, and then I transferred to LMU, 4-year down here in LA, which is where I live today. And then my last year, really, I was like, all right, I don't want to go and get a job after graduating. I want to work for myself or do something. And just working for somebody else wasn't for me. I had done a couple internships at some big software companies, and it was just the slowest freaking thing ever. It was so boring, and sitting in an office all day, and you're doing all this busy work, and you look back at your boss and he's watching YouTube videos. It's what the hell? Why are you giving me all this shit to do? You ain't got nothing to do over there. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. And then, so that kind of turned me off to the whole working for somebody else and working for a big company.
Yeah.
And then right around that time, while I was at university, my last year at university, my brother actually took me and my dad to like a real estate seminar. He signed us up. He said, "Hey, let's go to this thing. It's a weekend event about how to flip houses." Whatever.
My man, Dan Merrill.
Yep, Van Merrill. And so we went to that. We learned a lot, and then it kind of just helped build our confidence about flipping houses and investing in real estate and looking at the numbers, all that kind of stuff. And then from there, the ball just started rolling for the real estate side. So started trying to flip houses in California, realized we didn't have enough money to do so. My own dad only had like 40 grand saved up. So it wasn't enough to get started here.
Definitely not.
Yeah, dude. Well, even if you go and use hard money, and then even if you raise like private money or gap funds after that, if you're only putting in 40 grand skin in the game, like all the investors are not going to give you that much of the pie, no matter how much work you do. It's kind of just like sweat equity that you're putting in. So it was like, fuck, we're doing all this work. The project could take a year. Like, it is our first project. So, if we were professionals, it could be 4 months or 5 months, but right. Hey, we know we suck, right? So let's say it takes a year, we're going to make $15,000 for a year project at the end of the day. It's like, why are we doing this? So, and it was like way too risky as well, right? Like, if shit hits the fan and you got $1 million loan at 12% interest, that's $10,000 a month that you're going to pay, every single month, right? So projects delayed even by a couple of months, there goes your profit. So that's what we started realizing about like 6 months into flipping houses in California. Then we tried wholesale deals in California. Again, didn't really make sense. You had to spend like 25 grand a month in marketing just to get one deal. And it was like, well, our money's going to be gone in 2 months. And again, we know we suck. This is our first time. So our 40 grand is going to be, destroyed in 2 months. So then I started networking my ass off and figured out about this whole out of state thing, and that people were buying single family homes out of state, either flipping them or holding them as rentals. And there was a couple of guys I met that were flipping, high volume stuff out of state. And I was like, how the fuck are these guys doing this? Like 10 houses a month and that kind of thing. And I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. And the guy lives in LA, and he, raises money for all his projects and puts very little in. And so I just started for the next 6 months, really just picking those people's brains and how they set up the team, why they found the markets, why that market, why the neighborhood, and then who's on their team and how the hell do you get them to all talk to each other while you're over here. And then so I did that for about a year, just learning and testing and all that kind of stuff, just on the out-of-state stuff. Finally landed on the market, which was Memphis, Tennessee. And then my last couple of months of school, last semester at university, bought that first house in Memphis for like 35 grand, renovated it for 5 grand. So we used all my dad's money to buy this house and renovate it. And then after it was done, went to a local credit union and said, hey, I want to do a refi. They did an appraisal, loan came back, and we pulled out all the funds for that property. And we're like, hey, and then we're like, all right, wow, this is great. We did our first BRRRR, and this was back in 2017. Okay. We did the first one.
That was your first. Wow, you're moving, man. You're moving. I like that about you. So let's take a step back, man, because it sounds like, just to summarize what you said, you're in California. A lot of people like to complain, talking about, man, there's no deals out here. So you did your due diligence. You talked to some locals, gathered some data, and I'm curious as to how you did that, but I'll get to that in a second. Sure. for the team. And so you start going into markets that is not in your market, right? And out of state. So what does that process look like for identifying what market? Because I believe you're in 4 markets now. Yep. What is it that you're looking for? Or initially, what were you looking for? And now what are you looking for today?
Yeah, great question. So what I did is I made a list literally on Google Sheets with me, my dad, and my brother. And I made a list of the top, let's say 200 markets in the US. Then I went and found certain information about those markets. So the GDP, the population growth, the job growth, the major employers. I did some research on the diversity of the workforce. So how, I don't want like 80% of the jobs in automobiles, just like Detroit. That's what led to its demise, right? So most of our markets have like the biggest sector is like 25 or 30%. So even if that crashes, there's still going to be a ton of jobs, and hopefully those jobs can help grow and fill that space because of real estate related stuff or whatever. So those are the main things that I look for. I look for, even if one of the big things was just like even just a minimum population. So like, and a maximum population as well. So most of these very large markets, LA or the Dallas or anywhere in Florida, like with huge populations, most of those, the property values are too high to where it doesn't make sense for cash flow anymore. So something else that I would look for was like a minimum population of like 200,000 and then a maximum population of like 2 million or something like that. And then that crosses a lot of markets off the list. And then what you can do too on Zillow is find like the median sale price for an entire market or an entire city or metro. And so I started pulling that information in, and then any market that had like a median sale price of less than 200 was then on that list. And then, the list just got shorter and shorter and shorter until I figured out, a good market that had a good diverse workforce, had either stable or growing population, stable or growing job force. The major employers were companies that I liked, that I thought would be around the next 20 years. So those are all the things. And the way that I built that list was just through listening to Bigger Pockets podcasts all day long.
Pockets, man. Bigger Pockets is a real deal for sure.
For real. And so like, it was just listening to those, because this was a couple of years ago where there weren't many real estate podcasts. They were one of the few around.
I've been listening to them right around that time, probably 2018.
Yeah. And they had the most amount of content too. So they were who I was listening to, and they had like a lot of guys who were doing out of state stuff, and it's the only place I could find the info. Now there's there's your podcast, my podcast, Chris' podcast.
Yeah. Well,
podcast galore.
It is podcast galore, but honestly, the bigger conversation we'll have after this is branding galore, right? Businesses are brands now because all the eyeballs, if you look at, even TV and commercial, I mean, it's got its own set of eyeballs. Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff. So that's interesting because you got yourself a TV show and when I say that, what I'm saying is you got an audience, man.
Yep.
It's really cool because I want to tap into that. But getting back to that, so you identify the criteria. You say, all right, these are the markets where, we can invest in California. All right, so you're in California, take notes. But we're going to go into somewhere that makes sense. But at the same time, you're also factoring longevity, right? Because you're thinking for the long-term road of diversification, which I really like. You said some markets are very dependent on a few employers, so you don't want to let that be. So that's interesting. So you got this very ninja approach. Now what? Like, did you guys fly out there? What was and the reason I asked this is because when we get in the lab, I mean, it's fascinating. I'm big on personal development, but what's the initial push that I feel like there's a lot of people who find interest in things because the grass is always greener. But what was the initial, okay, let's do this, that allowed you to say, all right, we're going to pull the trigger? I want to kind of hear about that on that.
So the Google Sheet. Yeah. So first of all, it was coming time for me to graduate, right? So it was December. I graduated in May. Yeah. Right. And I was like, fuck, I got to start either looking.
Gotta make moves.
I got to either start looking for a job or I got to start making this shit work. Yeah. And I'm a hustler, as you can. That's why I kind of gave my whole background. So if business doesn't scare me at all, I'll pick up the phone and call anybody. Didn't feel that way a couple of years ago, but now phone calls don't scare me at all. I'll call. I remember when I first started. All right, so this is what happened. So Google spreadsheet, right, or Google Sheet, top 50 markets. I eventually. The number one market that came up on the list was Memphis, Tennessee. Started looking at some big boys that were playing there, Memphis Invest, a lot of other turnkey guys. And I was like, fuck, these guys can buy 20 houses a month. I can buy one house a month. I'll just buy the one. I'll just pay a little bit extra and I'll beat them on the last deal because I don't have any overhead. That was my mentality. And then I was like, all right, I just need to start building my team and find some people on the ground. So what I did was I was in my dorm room. I moved all my classes from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. so that the whole day I can sit at my desk, wake up at 7 and start calling at 8, which was 10 o'clock in Memphis. And I would just call property management companies, contractors, realtors, you name it, lenders to try to, work on getting financing or doing a refinance. And then I would just have another Google sheet that just had, all the people I contacted, when I contacted them, notes about the call, all that kind of stuff. And at that time I was probably I think I called like over 200 realtors. And then I called like every single property management company and just collecting as much data as I could. And the pitch was, hey, my name's Antoine Martel. I'm a real estate investor in California. I'm interested in investing in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm looking for single family homes in B and C class suburbs that I can renovate and rent out. Boom. That's it.
So you said that was property managers?
Property managers and then realtors too. Because property managers, I felt like if I even gave them that same pitch, most of them had, after a couple of phone calls, had like realtors they work very closely with.
Yeah.
And then they can also, I knew that the property management companies would also have really good contractors because they have maintenance items every single day. So they're going to have somebody they trust on speed dial to go and fix some shit when stuff hits the fan. Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, they can be great for, giving me some contractors. So it was kind of both sides of the coin I was playing. And then eventually after, calling again, over 200 people over a couple weeks or a month, I finally found somebody who had a house listed. I called on his listing. I said, hey, I want to buy this house. How much do you think we can renovate it for to get it rent ready? Oh, $6,500. I'm like, how do you know that? I have a bid already for a contract. I'm like, okay. I was like, do you have any, what do you think you can rent out for? Oh, $725. And I was like, and this is like far surpassing the last 200 phone calls that I've gotten, right? Where people were literally like, now's a bad time to invest in real estate. It's been up for 10 years. You shouldn't be investing in real estate now. Literally realtors saying that on the phone. I'm like, aren't you trying to make some money? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And so after 200 phone calls, I was blown away by the answers, having everything direct. And then he had a property management company to refer me to, contractor refer me to. I was like, this is either too good to be true or, if that was my first phone call, I probably wouldn't have done it. But this was a month in of calling, 200 phone calls later. I was like, this is the real deal. This is what we got to do if we want to get this thing started and rolling. So didn't fly there, closed on the property, had him manage the entire renovation with his contractor.
Who's him? Sorry.
The realtor.
Oh, wow. So you really, the realtor was an extension to really your team.
He was essentially like a project manager person and a liaison for us between purchase and then getting it ready for property management to come in and take their photos and to do what they do. So
was this like almost like were you working kind of like with a turnkey brokerage?
No, this guy was just a realtor, and he had his own brokerage, a small brokerage in Memphis. And then he was the owner broker, and he had a bunch of agents under him. And he just had this random listing in this neighborhood that I liked just from researching from California, just looking at the data, and then called him on his listing. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to help you out. Yeah. You want to buy the house. And then I got this contractor and this property manager, and this should work for you. And then you can try these banks after to try to refi. So he already knew what
man, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
But that came with a process, though. I don't want y'all to sleep on that because you're out here cooking in the lab, right? You're sitting there just waiting for it to come. So I want to take a step back, though, because you mentioned a few things that I think that I love and recently I've been resonating with. I recently read, what's the book? I'm going to blank out on it. But I'll make sure I'll drop it in there. It's I think Brendan Turner, I mentioned it, and it's I forget what the gentleman's name is, but it basically talks about the environment that you need to change, not the habits. And it's going to come to me in a second. But what I really like, you said you were in school and you said, you know what, I'm going to make a shift. I'm going to change my classes. I think I've been really resonating with this. Like what can you change in your environment to be able to, take it to the next level? So that was fascinating. That was structured, right? That you did that. Then the next thing you said is then you started relying on the team, which was property managers and realtors. And I think we sleep on that sometimes because a lot of us, I mean, it's hot right now to kind of like do the whole, Grant Cardone thing, cold call all by yourself. But why are we not creating strategic partnerships, right? And it sounded like that's what you went to, right? These
Mhm.
guys, literally, that's what they do. They go
Yep.
out there, they create relationships. That's their day job. So now
Yeah.
why create a relationship with those people?
Yep.
And I think that's a good reminder, because I think sometimes we're trying to reinvent some, like, you're going to call people part-time. I mean, by any means, if you have an in-house team, do it. But it sounds like you leveraged the experts and you brought them on your team, right? I mean, am I wrong? Well, correct me. I want to make sure I get this right.
No, that's definitely right. And it came to me after, once I built the whole team in Memphis, I was like, fuck, the shortcut here is calling only property management, showing them how they can make money by working with you, pay them extra money to manage the renovation, because they're already hopefully they're going to have a realtor in there. So the laws in most places is, in order for them to lease out properties, that person needs to be licensed. So if they're licensed, they have access to the MLS, they can easily just create an MLS VIP for you, make offers for you, etc. So you're paying them on the buying fee, right? And then I was paying them extra money to manage the renovation. They already have
about that real quick, just for a second, because we're just assuming these are regular property managers, but this sounds like a niche. You're saying your property management company will also manage the renovation. What does that mean?
No. That's your pitch to them. You got to tell them that that's what you want.
Okay, but they have to be savvy enough where they're. So let me understand. Are they a project manager? Are they managing the numbers and of the rehab and all that?
No numbers. They're physical bodies that are keeping track of the contractors.
Okay, good. I'm glad you cleared that up. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No. Numbers stuff is always going to be on me or on you,
Yeah.
But handle, because the numbers have to make and fit your box, right? So you're coming up with the budget on your side, and then if the budget works, great. If not, see you later. So, but what I realized was, hey, these property management companies already have a system in place. When they get a work order, they have a contractor go out, they verify the work was done, they pay out that contractor, right? So it's just a big work order that has to happen, right? And the place is vacant. And I'm like, they already got the system in place. I'll pay them extra because I know it's going to be a little bit longer and they're not making any fees, right? So I was like, I'll pay you for the time, for the month that it's going to take to manage that project. Once it's done, they get their lease up fee. After they get their lease up fee, they make their 10% a month. So they're happy by just changing their, having one person manage my properties on top of all the other stuff that they're doing, because they are going to make an extra dollar. And so normally the person that I'm talking to on the property management at the property management company is normally the owner. So going directly to the owner, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to buy a house a month. This is what I need your help with, so that I don't need to go hire Jim on Craigslist to manage my projects and then talk to you when it's done. It's like, just bring somebody. You must have somebody in-house who can already handle this, who, an intern. It doesn't need to be anything crazy to manage the projects and to make sure things are getting done. And then once they are done, then you guys go take photos, lease it out, you make your money, and then you make your 10% ongoing. So talking with the owner, sharing with them what the long-term strategy is, and then, hey, I want to do a house a month. So this is not just a one-time deal. I want to create a system and get the things going, and we have the money to do so.
I really like how you're always planning ahead, especially for such a young hustler like you, man. That's really, really refreshing to see, because you're playing the long-term game. And a lot of us, I was just talking about this with another one of our partners, we can get caught up with the grass is always greener, fast cash, fast dish, but you're thinking, okay, long-term investments, right? Long-term markets, long-term teams. So that's fascinating, man. That's really cool. I haven't really heard of that. It's pretty refreshing. So why don't we just dive deep a little bit on the managing piece? Because you said managing, and what is that? Can you, for some of us who are listening, like, that sounds okay. What does managing really mean? And I'm kind of curious too on that. I don't do turnkey, but so managing a project, when you're managing the manager, what is it a report that you're expecting them to give you on a daily basis?
So if you have a rental property that's already cash flowing and stabilized, right? So renovated and rented out, the reports you should be getting are just a monthly profit and loss statement for your property, which shows the income and then all the expenses. When you hire a property management company to manage your renovation, which again is not something that they're going to market. It's something that you just have to,
you're pitching that vision and partnership. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a strategic partnership. Hey, you've already got this all in place. This is what I need, and I'll pay you for it. And I know it's not going to be that much of a burden on you because you're already doing it just at a smaller scale. But hey, this is what I need help with to do one house a month and hopefully scale that up. So, and then in terms of just managing the renovations, normally that project manager person just pushes the contractors and makes sure they're all working. They're showing up to the job site. They're moving forward. When they ask for renovation draws, then they're going and taking photos or videos to making sure that those renovations have been completed before we do a payout.
But does it look like, is this an everyday type of thing, or you're kind of, if, say I'm your property manager that's managing one of your renovations, right? Rehab. Yeah. How often are we in touch? Are we texting? Are we calling every day? Are we slacking? What's the
good question. So it's in the thing that I loved about it was in the property management company's best interest to push the renovations as fast as possible to get their fee. My fee was not based on a weekly basis. My fee is based on a one-time fee per product. You manage this renovation for 1 month, I'm paying you $500. So do you want to make your $500 in 2 weeks or 2 months? You tell me, So,
okay.
So then I was like, one-time fee, $500, you got to manage this renovation. And then they're like, all right, well, let's get this I want to get this shit done so I can move on to the next one. Right. So then they would make their $500. Then once the renovation was done, they would make their first month's rent as a lease-up fee. So they get paid again, and then they make the recurring revenue after.
Now, what is that? Like, is that a typical 8% or is that?
Yeah, 10%. 10% is what they charge.
Okay, cool.
Normally.
Fascinating. So, cool. So we got into the whole vision. You've lined up the market, lined up the team, contractors. So one thing I will say is, it sounds like you're also maybe strategically staying in the same area so they can manage multiple projects. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep. Same. So there's a couple of reasons why we do the same neighborhoods over and over. First of all, we choose our neighborhoods very carefully. In Cleveland, we're probably in 3. In Memphis, we were only in 1. In Birmingham, we were only in 2 zip codes. So very wise choices on our markets and neighborhoods. Another plus when you're doing volume out of state and selling these properties as turnkey is that you eventually create your own comps in that neighborhood, and you can.
Because you're the one who's dictating the comps.
Yeah.
You're like, so if you the area a little bit.
Yeah, and if you aggregate all your properties into one zip code, now you run that zip code, and slowly you can start to hike up the price on those properties. You're in control of that zip code in that neighborhood.
That's fascinating.
And so that it's crazy. We get appraisal reports back all day long, and the 3 to 5 comps,
right?
The 3 to 5 comps they use, whose they are.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's called I don't even know if there's house hacking, there's comps hacking. You guys are comps hacking. I like that.
Market arbitrage. Yeah, and it's illegal if you do it in the stock market, but real estate related, it's nothing illegal. So. Yeah. You're not even, there's a lot of other transactions going on, but if you have, you renovate your property exactly the same way every single time, and then you do that 3 to 5 times over the couple of months, then when your next house sells, it looks exactly like the other 3 to 5, that's going to be a comp, So
that's fascinating.
It helps us too when we're making offers. Now we have a system where our acquisitions team just types in the property address into the Google sheet, and it pulls the zip code out, and it looks at all of our last sold properties in that zip code, what they sold for, and then number how many comps we have. And it's pretty freaking accurate. All the houses in that zip code are going to be built in the same year, same square footage, same bedroom, bath. It's going to be a very accurate number. So I can know now when a property is listed on Redfin, I know within, 10 seconds of doing the deal if it's going to work or not. And so it allows me to go through volume of property. When you're buying 10 houses a month, you got to look at, 100 plus deals a month in order to buy those.
Buy the block, buy the block. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's cool. So great segue, Antoine, into our what we call the triple F, which is the finding, funding, and flourishing. So finding, it sounds like obviously right now. I wouldn't say obviously because it wasn't obvious until about 2 minutes ago. But now it's starting to make sense, right? You're tapping into your network. Now it sounds like they're coming to you rather you going to them because you've been working with them for so long. There's an incentive. So that's why I've been big on strategic partnership, man. That's what it is. So I really like that. That's cool. Funding, though. Let's talk about that for a second. Obviously, you guys are working at scale now. You started with 40 grand. That's obviously, you talked about refinancing a second ago. Yep. And I'm curious, I'm going to throw this in there. I'm curious to hear about if portfolio lending by any means, is that a long-term goal? Is that what you're doing right now? I'd love to hear kind of like how you're financing.
How we're doing it. Yeah. Yeah. So let me first start. So let me finish up that story from the very beginning. Then it'll tie into this funding part.
Okay, cool.
So we bought that first house for 40 grand.
Yeah.
And then we refinanced it out, pulled that money out. I graduated in May. By December, we had 10 properties in Memphis, Tennessee, fully cash flowing. So I went hard. We bought that one house. It was done. Then I went and bought 2 houses, and I raised money for those projects with other people's money because I had now a case study in Memphis that I built.
Which is what we always talk about in the lab.
Yep. And then I built that case study. I started networking my ass off because now I was the guy doing out-of-state shit, and everybody wanted to learn from the 21-year-old kid who was buying houses in Memphis.
Good stuff.
And it doesn't matter if you've done 1 or you've done 100. I still had a case study, pal. So I went and networked my ass off on Bigger Pockets, meeting with, again, my classes were at night. So I was meeting people throughout the day for coffee, for breakfast, or before work or lunch, and started just growing that list of people who were interested in investing in real estate but couldn't afford to invest in California. And I just the exact thing I've been doing for the last 2 years, which was trying to invest in California. Shit doesn't work. Need to go out of state, and that's what I would sit down and talk to people for an hour. And then, hey, here's what I figured out works. Let me get your email and let's see if we can do something in the future. They'd get an email from me the next week. Hey, I got an opportunity for 50 grand to buy a house, and you'll get 50% of the profit, or whatever way we split it up. And okay, absolutely. And boom, there you go.
Yeah,
so that's how,
I love how you're addressing the pain point, and that's what sales is too. Like being in the person to say, hey, listen, this is what I went through. Did you try this? Did you try that? I did it too. Now I found a solution. That's a really cool way. So
jump on
hold on. You said 10. So you said by the time you got the first one, you guys in December had 10.
Yeah.
This is the part that we're getting to the juice here. Let's talk about that. So
it was just so we bought that first house very early in that year. It was renovation was $5,000, remember? So it was only like a week for renovation. Got a tenant.
It was like a cosmetic rehab, right?
It was like carpets and then like paint the interior. It was easy. So 1 week done. Then we got a tenant in the next week. And I was like, holy shit, that was fast. And then we went to the lender and they did a cash out refinance through a local credit union. So all they did was an appraisal. So it only took a couple of weeks to get that.
Oh, so you didn't have to wait. So again, this is important for some of us too, because depending on the lender, right? I mean, you tell me, you're the expert. Some of them lock you into 6 months, a year.
So seasoning. So if you use a local credit union who's lending their own funds and not doing Freddie Mac, they get to make the rules. If we were going to go conventional with like Wells Fargo or Bank of America, then you have to wait 6 months. But using this local credit union, paying the higher interest, et cetera, they got to make their own rules about the lending. It depends on the credit union, but this one didn't have any seasoning requirements. As long as the place was renovated, rented out, making money, you would do an appraisal, and if it came back good, then they would lend you on that amount up to 100% of the total cost you had in the deal. So this is getting complex, but you bought it for 35, renovated for 5. Mm-hmm. So the max, and you show them all the invoices, the maximum amount they would give you a refi on was 40. So that was the one caveat, but I was like, fuck, I don't care. I own the building now and I got my money back, and now I can go at least use my money over and over again. Okay.
So for some of us in the lab who are writing our notes down in the scrapbook, you said 40%, right? So you went 35 and 5K, right? So 35K and 5K, right?
Yep.
now when you're refinancing with the loan credit, with the local credit union, excuse me, what is the ARV, right? Like, what was it worth?
So yeah, let's just say the ARV is like 55 grand.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to give you a loan for 75% of that.
Yeah.
Which is 41,250.
Okay.
And then you have 40 grand in the deal. So the credit union's going to be like, we won't give you a loan for 41.25. We're going to give you a loan for 40. No big deal. That's fine with me. So they'll give you a loan because they'll only lend the maximum amount that they'll lend is 100% of the cash you have in the deal.
Right. Oh, okay. So literally it just ended up being that it was that.
Yeah.
That exact.
It was very close. Yep.
Yeah, almost, right.
Exactly. And then I didn't care because now I own the house for free. And then the thing was still making me money. And then I had my money back. So pretty much had a house for free in my portfolio, my money back. Then I went and raised money and I just doubled down. I went and bought then 2 houses. And then I put, money into each of them, did the same thing, quick renos, refinanced, pulled the money out. Then I did 4. And then that's how I got to 10 by December. Was by just doing that process and slowly slowly but surely growing it out as things, kept working and flowing.
Cool. Dope, man. So interesting. So are you guys today, because we're getting to today, the flourishing part, we talked about the finding, the funding, and the flourishing. So right now, is the strategy to hold on to these or to sell them to other out-of-state investors?
Yeah.
Like, even when we connected back earlier on, I was like, hey, Antoine, man, I'm not ready, brother. I'm just getting my feet wet, but I'm putting it all out there. I remember, and I'll give you a quick plug if it's correct. It's, what is it? Is it a Martel Turnkey?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's very nice. Again, I'm seeing some 1% rule, more than 1% rule, crazy cash on cash return. So did that turn into, these are ours and now we're looking to liquidate them to get into units?
So that's what happened. So December we had 10 properties. Then we ran out of money. So some deals didn't appraise, whatever happened. Some deals didn't appraise where we want. So we got a lower loan. So we had to leave money in the deal. Yeah. That happens a couple of times. You run out of, your 40 grand's gone, right? Yeah. So we were like, we need to get some money back out. We started networking with friends and family and other people. And they were like, hey, how the hell do you guys invest out of state? And we want to grow a portfolio and we want cash flow. All right, great. Well, here's a property we haven't refinanced yet. Do you want to buy it from us? We'll help you get a loan. We'll connect you with an insurance company, and then we'll give you the property management company. Yeah, that sounds great. Sold a couple houses to friends and family. And I was like, shit, I need to just make a website. I went to WordPress, made a free website, martelfamilyrealty.com, and started listing properties up on the website. That has then led into Martel Turnkey, which is what it is today. And that was all back in 2017 when it started. And now we're doing over 100 homes a year, 8 to 10 properties every single month that we're buying.
So these are all on your website, off market, nowhere else. I can't get these on the MLS, right? Is there a reason why you didn't choose to get some exposure? Just because you already had the internal network of people?
We already had the internal network. The sexiness of having it say off market kind of helps, and where it's not anywhere else, so people will come to us. Yeah. When you do post these kinds of turnkey properties on the MLS, you get a bunch of low offer bullshit anyways. So it wasn't really worth the time. It takes time for the team to do it. So I was like, nah, it doesn't really make sense. But now we can talk about the funding. So how the hell do you fund 8 to 10 deals a month? It's a good question. So there's a couple of things that we've been trying to get. We've tried to get huge lines of credit from companies. We just haven't, from banks. We haven't been in business long enough for that. So,
and can you tell us, because I know this is great, because I always have this conversation with some entrepreneur, a friend who's not in real estate, and I think that's one of the things I like we like to talk about in real estate, being able to leverage the asset as collateral, etc. So I think we're getting onto something here. Do you want to tell them on how banks basically lend on with businesses? I think that's what you were saying, right?
Yeah. Well, they'll give you lines of credit pretty much, but it is real estate backed. So it's like a real estate line of credit, and they'll give you a $5 million line, right? But they want every time you pull every time you pull money from that line of credit, you have to pay a pull fee, which is like $2,000. Then you have to pay interest on top of that, which is 9%. Then you have to pay for an appraisal to be done. Then they're only going to pay you in draws, and every time you need to draw it, there's a fee.
Oh,
so like, yeah. So we have yet to find a very affordable line of credit that doesn't require all those pull fees. So that would be called like an unsecured line of credit, where I can literally just go pull my whole line, as long as I'm paying interest, they don't care. So that's what I'm looking for.
That's something that you're still looking for today.
Yeah, man.
Listen, man, y'all heard it.
I know. I'm putting my vibes out there.
No, but you know what it is though? What people are hearing is, hey, listen, if I partner with you, you're in this for the long run. Like, you're not gonna just like if it works out for them. I've had lenders, reach out to me even on social media.
Oh yeah.
I think there's an opportunity here for you, and this is why it's beautiful. I love these platforms to put yourself out there and someone say, hey, you know what? We're gonna switch up our model for the Martel family. Like, I think that's cool because I think then you can grow. So.
I know.
It's out there, y'all. Hopefully you get a few people hit you up after this.
Right?
So that's interesting. So you're saying you're still looking for a way to be able to leverage the existing assets that you have to make your money work for you. So you talked about lines of credits. Is there anything else that you've kind of
Yeah. So that would be the easiest thing. But since those are too expensive for me to get right now, just because of all those fees that I just explained, we actually raise probably 90% of the deals we raise money for, we raise just private money. And we pay people 12% on their money. So they get, they'll invest $100,000 or $50,000 with us. We'll pay them 1% a month, goes right to their bank account. So, $50,000 investment, guy makes $500 a month on his money, and it goes right to his 401k account, his savings account, wherever he wants it going to. And so that's how we've been raising and funding a lot of these deals. When we first started, though, last year, really, it was very hard for me to raise that private money. Private money at 12% is really hard to raise because it's not very enticing. It's not very fun. It's really just boring cash flow. It's a great return on your money. I don't know why more people don't do it, but it's just boring. People who want to invest in real estate want something exciting. They want to learn, right? So when I first started doing, going from one house a month to 2 houses a month to 3 houses a month, which was last year, I raised a ton of money by doing joint ventures with people through Bigger Pockets and just networking. So I would say, hey, we're going to buy this house for $50,000, renovate it for $10,000, sell it for $70,000. I need you to, so total all in is $60,000. You come in with 50, I'll put 10 skin in the game. I'll run the whole deal, and then we'll split the profits. So that's how I was really able to scale, because it took very little cash out of my pocket, and I can do more deals at scale. So I can do 5 houses a month now, or 3 houses a month, whatever the number was, and have very little cash out. I wasn't making as much as I'd like, but it was helping build the brand, put more product out there.
More proof of concept.
Yeah, more proof of concept. Yeah, exactly. And then also just selling those properties to a client, even if I didn't make shit at the beginning, I didn't care. It was just about making sure they had a good experience long term. Exactly what you said. So making sure they had a good experience so that they would just come back. So the first, last year we looked at our tax return, and it was the total profit, this number, and then total we made was half of that, or less than half of that number. The rest was paid to investors for, funding all our deals. But you need to do what you need to do in order to that's why we're able to scale and be where we are today. And now we use a lot of our own cash, but we still raise a ton of private money for a lot of our deals that we're doing. Got
it. So that's cool, man. Because I'm tapping into the multifamily space, and obviously at this point in my life, it's the same thing for JVs. But I'm curious to hear, when you're pitching this to me as you did, that was a really good example. Actually, you beat me to it with the 50K down, 10K collab, to a 70K RV. You're pitching this in silos, right? Just a duplex, single family at a time. You're not doing it hey, let's all go into a portfolio, right? I just want to make sure I get that right. You're
one investor per property.
Perfect. Well said. Okay, good.
Keep it easy. Keep it easy for them. Keep it simple. Bro, I literally make a one page, like a one PDF page, a photo of the property, the address, three charts, one of them about the cash flow once it's done, one of them about the sources and uses, or like renovation, purchase price, and then how much they're investing, how much we're investing. Then the last one is just the profit share breakdown. Yeah. And that's it.
That's so clean too, because when you look at single family, there's not as much the financials when you're looking at a multifamily.
I know. Yeah.
All we're headed, or where you're headed, and shout out to you. I've seen you close a few bigger units now, but I like this very clean, simple model, and simple, not simple on paper, not so much in execution as well. I'm not trying to is that even a verb? Simplify your business, but I'm trying to say it's clean. People can understand it, and it makes sense. You have this brandable concept. So tell me now how is that the vision, or are you thinking, because it sounds like, and I might be wrong, you're very niched in this, and I'm wondering, are you thinking maybe down the road syndication, or are you thinking like, you know what, this is working, it ain't broke, don't fix it, let's double down, baby? Like, what are you thinking right now?
Both.
Yeah.
Doubling down on the turnkey business. We're hiring more people here for the turnkey company. We're hopefully going to do like 150 homes next year. That's what the goal is.
Big up.
Yeah. So that business takes a lot of cash, right? So just like the multifamilies do. But it takes a lot of cash and a lot of effort. So continue to scale that business. If it's not broken, don't fix it. We're just going to keep growing and keeping that, that business steady. And we literally, we sold out of properties this morning. I mean, it's ridiculous that I had six houses for sale last week. I was stressing out this morning, and last night we got a bunch of offers. And
y'all hear this? They're going like hotcakes. Make your way to the site right now, man. Plug. That's awesome.
I know, man.
And I'm very happy for you because that's the process right there. Execution, a lot of hustle, and it pays off. So I'm rooting for you, man. I really am. I can't wait to continue to see you grow, man. That's really good.
And then the multifamily, the multifamily side of things, we started just now raising money for those projects too. So we've got, this year I bought 71 units.
Yeah, you closed. I saw you closed back to back. It was because we're keeping in touch on the gram, which is a wonderful way to stay in touch. But what, you had a 24 unit, you 16 unit. What's going on, man? You're making moves.
So I bought a 20 unit January,
nice.
December 14th, but just started in January. So 20 unit. Then I bought in April or so, I bought an 11 unit.
Was that a JV?
That was, so the 20 unit funded ourselves. 11 unit funded ourselves.
And when you say that, for those of you listening, is that your conventional commercial loan?
Yep, commercial loan, and then we didn't bring in investors. We did it ourselves to test the waters. Yep. Just like the single family home, same shit.
Concept, y'all noticing a trend here, my man?
Noticing a trend, exactly. Built 2 case studies, obviously. One and presented case studies around LA and online, and then what I did, I started raising money from people who saw me present to these new deals. So 24 unit, fully funded from some guys I met 3 years ago. 16 unit.
Long term. I like it.
3 years ago. Yeah, exactly. 16 unit, we just got confirmation. Everybody that's fully funded, closing in January. And that's from people that I've just been networking with over the last year or two. Who've kept up with my stuff and didn't want the turnkey side. And I was like, what am I going to do with these people? Right? Mm-hmm. No, we don't want to buy turnkeys. We have, $250,000. I want something bigger. Okay, well, thanks. I'll put you on my CRM, but we have nothing for you. I mean, you can lend money to us and we'll take your money, but no, I want to learn. Okay, well, I have no idea. Last year, I have no idea what I'm going to do with these people. Then I just put them on a list in my CRM. Now I'm into multifamily. I'm like, holy shit. Thank God I was networking my ass off and collecting all these people. Now I go reach out. Hey, we've just bought 2 buildings this year with our own money. Here's the case studies. And here's a new deal that we have down the street that we're looking to partner up on. And then that's how I started raising money for these new deals. And we've 71 units and then another 16 closing in, actually a 16 and a 12 unit closing then in January.
Nice, man. Good stuff, brother. Yep. So I want to just touch on that just a little bit right there, because obviously I think your team for this is one that I love, a strategic partnership. But then you mentioned networking real quick. If I'm listening to you, I'm in the live and I'm taking my notes, I'm like, man, like this networking is thrown around a lot. Obviously, you're crushing it on Instagram and a lot of social media, which we're going to touch on. That's the next segue about the brand building. But obviously, you have to start somewhere. And like, what does that look like for face value? As far as, you know, are you getting – you talked about CRMs, but how are you networking with people day to day and cultivating these relationships?
Good question. So it all starts with Bigger Pockets. Everybody right now, go to Bigger Pockets and go to the members tab. First of all, create an account and then add me.
Yeah.
And then
I was going to say, add your boy. I'm like,
add me and Ruben.
Yeah, show love.
And then once you're done with that, then go to the members tab, type in your damn zip code, and then just start messaging every single person who's done more than one deal. I don't care what it was, and just start asking them if you can take them out to coffee and you're trying to learn and pick their brain.
It's crazy. You know my first deal was on Bigger Pockets?
Really?
You couldn't make this up, man. Like you couldn't make it up. And it's just such a good place for you. Like people are already there, right? And like I think it's just the lowest hanging fruit. There's so much education there. But yeah, that's fascinating. You got Bigger Pockets. And then when I start networking with these people, are you, I'm curious, are you like just, all right, man, I got to hit this person back up again, keep the line open of communication open? Like, how does that look like for you? Is it a process or is it pretty much
No, it was really just me trying to learn. It depends what phase you're in, right? So if you've got a proof of concept, which a lot of people don't have, then you're going to that meeting with a different agenda. And again, your agenda is not to sell, but it's to then explain. You're kind of the educator now. So you're that person's mentor now. If you do have a proof of concept and they're at ground zero, then you're going to share every goddamn thing you know about out-of-state investing, building a team, property management, finding deals, raising money, etc. You're going to share everything with that person, and you're going to collect their contact info. You're already going to have it because that's how you met up. And then if you have a deal in the future that you want to partner up on or looking for investors, that person now already sat with you for an hour, knows everything you're thinking about, the depth at which you've thought about all of these things. They're going to be super comfortable with, because you're now their mentor. And who the hell doesn't want to invest with their mentor? Everybody wants to invest with their mentor. So even just that 1 hour is huge for a lot of people who have 50 grand in the bank and don't know what the hell to do. And their wife's begging them to, not do it. Right. So those are if you have a proof of concept, that's great. If you're at ground zero, then you want to go network with people who are better than you. And it's just going to be the reverse. And you're going to sit down with all those people and just learn and sponge as much as you can and ask good questions and do maybe some research on them or what they do, and watch a couple podcasts about mobile home parks so that you can learn a little bit, and then go into the meeting well informed about what the hell is going on, so they don't have to, explain everything from 0 to 1. Yeah, exactly. So, and then who knows what the hell you're going to do with those people who mentor you at the beginning, but I would still collect their names and I would still put it onto a Google sheet of people I met on Bigger Pockets, and, leave everybody there. You also have the chat back and forth on Bigger Pockets, which you can archive those chats and keep those chats as well. So,
I couldn't agree more, man. I would say, to piggyback what you said, the forums, man, like it's just, I think people sometimes they don't want to put themselves out there. I saw a really good quote about that, is people don't want to be seen starting, and so they never start. But like, that's the premise of this. It's just the humble approach of, hey, I'm learning too. Let me share some value of what I've learned, and then just putting yourself out there. So I really like that. I think.
Oh my God. Remember I started, so I had 10 single family homes in Memphis in December 2017. January 2018 is when I started posting on Instagram. Like, I only had a couple deals under my desk. I was still a small fish in this world, but I was still posting every single day about shit I was learning, how I fucked up.
I didn't realize that, because I started posting September
2018 or 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
Holy shit!
That's like when I literally started to experiment. Like, I was coming from still doing consulting, still had my e-commerce business I just finished, and I was just like, I'm doing this real estate thing.
Yeah, man.
And I think what I really like, what's going to be fascinating with some of the stuff we're doing is the story and the process, right? Like you couldn't make this up. Like you put it out there, and so when you have some crazy portfolio, it's not like you're lying about it. It's out there.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I'm going to talk about that real quick because I think we're doing you dropped some bomb right now, bomb value. But real quick, tell us a little bit about where people can check out your content, because you're doing a really good job. And it is a job, like what you're doing, man. Like I know it because I have a team like that's helping me with my content. And so, but like tell us why that's so important in this day and age, because we don't get to talk about that a lot, and see how it ties into the whole bigger picture.
Yeah. So, I mean, ever since I first started posting was, always to educate people. It's that bigger pockets thing where you're the mentor on a larger scale. Instead of meeting the guy for lunch, now I can be on the guy's phone at lunch every single day. And that was the philosophy. So, hey, I'm a mentor to these people, and now they're investing with me with, no emails back and forth. I send them a deal and they send me the money. I'm like, this is the easiest goddamn thing ever. So sending me the money to invest or to buy rent, whatever, to buy properties, to grow a portfolio, whatever. It was much easier after that first initial 1 hour meeting. But I was like, I can only scale myself so much. How can I get this 1 hour meeting into something that can reach 10,000 people in 1 hour instead of one person? So I was like, well, I can just start posting shit I'm learning and about the process and educating people on, again, everything about how to do what I'm doing. And also that's a big stopping point for a lot of people, because they're like, if I show people how to do it, then they're just going to go and copy me. No, they're not. 99% of people are too lazy to even go to the gym every day. They're sure as hell not going to call 200, brokers and property management companies.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. So I just started without care, just started posting everything that I'm doing, what I was working on, the houses under construction. Then people started just engaging in the content because they liked they saw. They were learning a lot. They could actually talk to me and I would actually reply, which is a big issue with people who are starting on social media is, when they have 10,000 followers, then they feel like they're the emperor and they don't need to reply to anybody anymore. And so I have 57,000. I still interact with people every single day. I get a DM every 5 minutes, and I'm still trying to get through people.
What do you, by the way, as from a productivity, are you time blocking yourself? Like, how do you, because I'm trying to, my business is brand too, but it's just, it's there all the time. I'm curious how you deal with it.
I don't time block. I'm on all day, every day.
Plugged. You stay plugged. Okay.
I try to shut off around 10 o'clock with everything kind of, and just like zone out, or else I'm not going to be able to sleep. If I answer DMs till like midnight, I won't sleep, because some of those questions I have to like think, like the real estate related questions, I have to think and sit there, and then my mind starts going about the guy's situation. I can't fucking sleep. So I try to, that's the only thing, like sleep's the most important thing, because then I won't go to bed till 2 or 3, and then I need to take a NyQuil, which doesn't make me sleep very good. For me, the way that I block my time, I guess, is I get up, 7 or 8 o'clock every day, get on emails right away, put out all the fires. And then once I put out all the fires, then I have a big to-do list then too. So start doing stuff on there. And then in between, it's posting on social media or connecting with people and doing certain things like that. It's my in-between time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, which one do you enjoy doing the most?
Between what?
Between day-to-day, because the day-to-day, like, is there an activity that you feel you're drawn to?
I like the morning putting out fires when I refresh my email and there's like 200 of them, and I can just sit there for freaking 3 hours and just.
So you just like that process?
Oh yeah, dude.
That's interesting. Do you consider yourself an outgoing person?
No.
That's really interesting, man. And the reason I say that is because you're doing what you have to do because you know it's important for you. And I find that a lot, actually. Some people are actually introverts, but you wouldn't even.
I'm a huge introvert.
Yeah. Okay.
In community college, I almost quit college because I had to take a public speaking class.
Oh, do you ever see yourself speaking?
I do now.
Yeah.
I go and speak. I spoke at,
Yeah.
dude, I was driving 3 weeks ago to Santa Monica College to go to a real estate investing club to present about real estate. And I was driving to the school and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I was like, I almost quit school because of this. And now I'm volunteering to go and sign up for this shit. And yeah, it's in only a couple of years, it's really gone full circle. I even presented a couple months ago, like in front of like 60 or 70 people. And I mean, it was stuff that I would never imagine myself like signing up for free to go and speak. And yeah, so it's you're in a different seat when you kind of leave college. It's not as much people judging you. It's like people just want to sit there and learn. And, if you're confident about what you're doing. And
I was just about to say, man, and you've put in the work, enough work that now it's kind of like second nature. What you're saying, it's kind of like what your birthday, what your name is. It's just like there's nothing nervous about it. So
I've been asked every question under the sun at this point. So you go into there without fear, because when you're at school, it's like, oh my God, what's it? You know the subject 60%, but you didn't really have you didn't have 10 years to study this material. You're putting together a presentation. So there's that kind of, lack of knowledge, but then comes like the insecurity about being judged or answering wrong. Yeah.
For sure, man. For sure. All right, let's get into the rapid fire question, man. Because I love this conversation, by the way, and I hope the rest of the community will too, because it was very free flowing. That's what I told them.
Oh yeah,
man. We're just gonna chop it up in the lab. We're overdue. We've been talking for a long time. We've been associated, so I think we can definitely share some value and get a chance to learn a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of bit from you, because you've been at this and you got the pedal to the metal, man. So that's what's up. But let's get right into the core rapid fire questions, my friend. What do we got going on? All right, real quick. Favorite book right now?
Favorite book, Sell It Like Serhant by Ryan Serhant.
Oh, that's my man from New York. That's okay, cool. That's interesting.
Good one.
The best habit that serves you every day?
Best habit, my alarm clock in the morning to get me up.
What do you use, a phone?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get ditch the phone, man. I heard this on I don't know, I'm big on this like Miracle Morning stuff too, and a lot of everything's on my phone, even like my journaling and stuff like that, but I'm trying to maybe stay away from it.
I know, because if you're journaling, because for me, if I turn that thing on and there's like emails coming in, then I can't even, my Miracle Morning will be out the window.
Exactly.
And I've never done, if I see one email come, like, appraisal came in low, and I'm like shit. What? Miracle Morning. Yeah.
Like right away. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, getting up and then just sitting here at this desk and turning the computer on and making a cup of coffee and going to town for the next 3 hours is the most important thing, because, putting out those fires really and doing them early instead of waiting later in the day to get it, or sleeping in because you turned over and checked your phone and there's nothing big or important to do. It's just getting up and getting started early every single day. And because I know I'll go all day long, but I just need to get up and get moving.
Cool. What's the best tool that helps you excel throughout your day? These days, it could be an application too.
Yeah, we use, so now to manage all of our projects, which we have like 30 to 40 houses under construction, at any time, we use like Zoho CRM. So that we're using every day. You put the notes, the bids, timelines, everything's in there. My whole team's in there putting notes and all that kind of stuff in there. So without that, which last year I didn't have a CRM, I ran everything through a Google Sheet and a shitty little CRM. Now we paid, a couple $100 a month for this CRM, but well worth it. Automated like 80% of the emails I was sending last year. So it's fantastic.
That's awesome, man. I'm going to switch this question up for you. This might be interesting. Would you rather have 30 single-family homes on the block? That's your block, and remember now you got your comps hacking, or would you rather have a 30 unit?
30 unit.
Okay, why?
Easy. One roof, the scalability of it, lower property management fees. The value add is much easier. even though you may have 30 single family homes on the same block, every house may have different square footage, bedroom, bathroom, la, la, la. The beautiful thing about multifamily as I've gotten into it is I renovate unit number 1 and I increase the rents from 500 to 850. Now I know unit number 2 to 30, I can do the same exact thing.
What's that, proof of concept? Yeah, that's cool, man. No,
Yep.
Agreed. Self-manage or outsource?
Outsource, all of it, third party.
You already know. If you had one superpower in real estate, my man, what would it be?
Do I have one or do I want
Had one. If you, oh, I mean, I'm sure you got it. You didn't come out here. Well, you got a superpower. You got, and obviously you got some discipline and execution. Come on, man. Shoot. If you wanted to basically have this one gift in addition to all your gifts, Antoine, what would it be?
Gift. It would probably be seeing the future to know what a property is going to appraise for before it appraises.
That's cool.
Then I'll buy houses in a heartbeat, man.
Yeah, you just know right away. Oh yeah, like being able to like foresee like what.
Exactly, because dude, that's the biggest thing with us is like it's why it's scary, and we tell all of our clients we'll sell it for its appraised value. So they put it under contract for 80. If it appraises for 75, then I got to drop the price and sell it. Yeah. So if I knew beforehand what the damn thing would appraise for, and we can run data all day long. Sometimes if you have, Billy, the appraiser from 400 miles away driving to your neighborhood to do an appraisal, he has no goddamn clue what the thing is worth or what's going on because he lives so far away. And so we've seen that a lot, and it's been the biggest challenge with having it, doing 10 transactions and 10 appraisals every single month. It's, the big fluctuations literally with the houses right next to each other. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. No, noted. That's a fact.
Yeah.
If you could describe a successful investor, I should just say AKA Antoine, in one word, what would it be?
Successful investor. Damn, that's a good one. I would say trustworthy.
I like that.
I think that's one of the biggest, most important. Oh, okay. Transparency, or the 2 T's. Transparency. Transparency even maybe over trustworthy. Because if you're transparent to the maximum, then you're automatically trustworthy. So I would say transparency, and even us with a turnkey company to our clients, we're very transparent with that kind of stuff, where it's kind of in a space that's kind of hidden and secretive. And there's not a lot of information out there about it. So I would say transparency.
Yeah. And I think that falls in line with what you're doing with your brand too, because you talked about being so transparent that people learn from you. And then guess what? Now I want to do business with the guy because he's opened up his book. It's not like you got to pay to get in and find the secret. No, the secret sauce is execution, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then also like transparency sells too, because if you're open about your story, how you got into real estate, why, that you only had 40 grand and your dad hated his job, and you didn't just, I stumbled upon real estate and read a book, and it's like you're transparent about your whole entire journey, and people can connect with you on a deeper level than the guy. It's like even if you're selling socks on Amazon, it's like, why did you start a sock company? Oh, my dad was in the hospital and the socks suck, so I made these socks for him. And then your socks are going to sell way more than the next guy because you're being transparent and open, and there's a story and behind it.
Yeah, no, facts. That's a fact. So you talked about this last questions. One of the last questions here. I always like to give the listeners and kind of insight, because you're locally involved in 4 different markets. It was
Yep.
You got Memphis, you got Cleveland, you got St. Louis, and what am I missing? Birmingham, so Alabama. So what's being in all those markets, what's an insight that you want to kind of give the community listening, that you're just kind of giving them a gem to maybe they can go and have a look themselves about what's maybe an opportunity that people aren't really aware of or noticing in those areas, or one of those?
Yeah, great. Yeah. So a lot of people, and as you go and listen to podcasts, there's a lot of people talking about certain markets, right? Nashville, Austin, Florida, all of Texas, right? Yeah. If for me, I'm again long-term. So think about Warren Buffett. If he were to go invest in a real estate market, just like he does with a stock, would he be buying in Nashville and Austin and Florida? I don't think he would be. I think he would be investing in a market that he thinks is going to be the next Nashville or Austin, because it's all about value for Warren Buffett, right? So I'm trying to put a Warren Buffett mentality on my real estate investment market choices. And so you do that by collecting a large amount of data and then looking at who's in charge. So the place still has to make money today, right? And it can't be something that's crumbling to the ground. It has to be something that, is stable, but has the possibility of spiking over the next 5 to 10 years. Right. And then you have to come up with a story on why you think that would spike and what would make it spike. And it could be affordability. It could be Cleveland's health tech corridor. It could be FedEx has headquarters in Memphis. Second largest cargo airport in the world is in Memphis. Amazon warehouses, millions of square feet are being built in Memphis right now. So, there's that's kind of the mentality that I've put into finding these markets and why I've chosen these markets. Because I'd rather have 100 homes and go and buy the whole block right now. And then in 5 or 10 years, people are, clawing to get into Cleveland, Ohio. And so that's kind of my mentality when investing in one of these markets.
Yeah.
And also I think there's a big change coming in the United States where, there's a lot of kids who are millennials who have graduated college. They have $250,000 in debt. It's hard to get a job. They got these bills that they have to pay for. Many of them on the West Coast are still living at their parents' house. They don't really want to live at their parents' house. Nobody does when you're 26, 27, 28. But there's no money. So now they have a job for $50,000, but they're $200,000, $250,000 in debt. And they're kind of at this stuck point where they're going to have to live at mom's house and keep working, the rest of their lives to even just pay off that debt. And so I think that for those people, there's very few places in the US that they can actually afford to live that makes sense on paper.
Well said.
And so I think that that's why we've seen over the last couple of years, Texas explode, why we've seen Nashville now literally triple in value. And now even those markets are becoming too hot and too expensive. So I would like everybody who's listening to the podcast to think, what's next? What's the next market that's going to be hot and up and coming, and why? And because, now, I live in California, so I hear it all the time. My parents' friends and stuff like that. Yeah, we want to leave California. Where would you like to go? Well, we were thinking Austin, but now we check the prices and it's like, if I'm going to move to Texas, I don't want to spend $500,000. It's like, I want to spend 100. It has to be worth, it has to be worth it for me to move out there. So I literally had a talk with one of my mom's friends last week, and she moved out of California and she went to Arkansas, and, and there's, hundreds of those stories every single day in California and New York City and Seattle, where people are just leaving in herds because of price, and either they're a baby boomer that just retired and their Social Security doesn't allow them to or afford them to live in the West Coast, or they're $250,000 in debt and they have to live at mom's house and they want to move out. And so there's fewer and fewer cities as options for places for people to move to. And I think that we're going to see a huge shift in population if you look at the map of the U.S. over the next 5 or 10 years because of all these things that are happening in the economy.
Yeah, that's another thing we didn't really touch on too, is the affordable housing. How that's such a huge opportunity with the inflation and the prices going up in some of these larger markets. It's going to give a lot of these other sub markets an opportunity to.
Oh yeah. So. Well, and I think that's why you've seen, for example, a couple of years ago, if you could move to Nashville, which was a great market, great music scene, great nightlife, right? And you could move there and buy a house for $100,000. And you just graduated college and you're making $60,000 a year working from a computer. You're not even working at an office. You're working at home, and it's like, shit, I can move anywhere in the U.S. now. And that's again where our economy's moving, right? Where people are working from home or working at a WeWork or whatever.
Right.
So, okay, I don't need to be in LA. I'm making $50,000 a year, which is okay. I have this debt. I want to move out. I need to leave LA. Like that's the only option for me, unless I want to keep living at my parents' house because I want to get out of this damn debt. I hate having it over my head. And that's why we've seen, these markets just explode with people because they're young and hip and there's stuff going on. And there's a great nightlife scene and tons of young millennials are moving into them as well.
Yeah, no, that's the second podcast in a row I've heard Nashville. I got a buddy out there who just went out there who's working out there in sales, and he's telling me, man, I gotta go visit. I'm gonna check it out, man.
I know, me too. I've been trying to go as well, but yeah, and that's Tennessee too. Like, people say Nashville, but they don't realize that that's it's in Tennessee, and it's Memphis ain't too far from there, So
Fred, man, you're onto something.
Yeah,
awesome. So listen, man, you've given us so much value. What's a call to action for us? I know you got a lot of stuff going on. Don't get humble on me, man, because I will blast your stuff. I
just wrote a book. It's this is the first copy ever.
Logo way. I'm getting it free. I'm gonna give a big shout out.
Nice.
Definitely gonna be in the links. Invest in cash flow rental properties. I saw it. I haven't gotten to it, man. I've been reading like crazy as well.
Good, man.
But that's fascinating. I'll make sure that I add that to my list right now. Where can I get it, Antoine?
Sure. So it's only 100 pages. It's very. You can read it in one day, but it's very. There's no fluff and bullshit in it. So I cut all that out. There's a ton of links. It explains pretty much how to build a team out of state, how to find a market out of state, how to look at a rental property, how to look at the numbers, and then how to manage those projects and how to fund them. And then so for your listeners, you guys can go to free.martelantoine.com and I'll send you the book for free. You guys just have to pay for the shipping.
Which you got ClickFunnels going on there, Mr. Expert Speaker? Don't worry.
They call me Young Grant Cardone.
Oh, I love it. I'm about to be on that stuff too. That's awesome. That's a good plug right there. .com secrets and all expert secrets and stuff. And what do you got? What you wearing, man? How you not gonna plug your shirt?
Oh yeah,
I want one right now. So you gotta send the link. I just
launched these shirts. You can get them at martelmerch.com. martelmerch.com. I only have like 30 left. I made 100. I think there's like 30 left. So there's some shirts left. They're all on that website. You can get one there. And then I would highly recommend just following me on Instagram if you want to get in touch at Martel Antoine. And then if you're interested in turnkey rentals or want to learn more, you can go to martelturnkey.com. You can book a call with us. You can literally make an offer right on our website. We are sold out. When is this podcast going up?
Next week, baby. Actually, you're going to be 2 weeks back. Actually, no, you're going to be 2 weeks back because I got
2 weeks. Okay, so we might have some properties available at that point, but go to martelturnkey.com and you can sign up for our email blast list on the website, book a call with us to learn more if you're interested in just buying turnkeys. We can.
Yeah, I mean, okay, 2 weeks isn't – people are here for the long run, man. So we're going to be following you for the long run, see your whole journey, and hopefully partner with you, man. I mean, we'll definitely be doing some stuff together.
Yep.
For sure. So – don't sleep on those 2 weeks. My man is out of inventory. That's a good problem to have. Somebody who's out of properties every time I talk to them. That's great. Their pipeline is just going to get that full. So good for you, man. Kudos for that.
Thank you.
We'll definitely make sure that I share all that with the community.
Thanks, man.
One last thing I always ask is like, if I meet someone, I'm a super connector. That's my gift, and I run into that somebody. It could be a person or somebody. How do I think, who is that person that I need to think of? Man, you guys, Antoine, I got to connect you to Antoine right now. Who is that person? You have somebody in mind?
Somebody.
Or a person in mind?
Yeah, so a couple of different things that we're always looking for 24/7. So is a couple of different groups of people. So one of them is the turnkey buyer. So that's going to be somebody who works full-time, wants to get into real estate, 20 to 30 grand saved up, has a full-time job, doesn't have much time. They want to invest in rentals and real estate, and they want to dip their foot in the water and start growing that portfolio. Turnkeys are the best way to get started. If you have a full-time job, you got 20 or 30 grand. It only costs 20 grand out of your pocket to get started in those rental properties. So those are a great way to get started, especially if you're working full-time. There's not much else you can do because, you're only free at night when nobody else is on the phone.
And if I have a question, I'm listening. I'm saying, hey, when he says turnkey, does he mean that I'm going to have to do what you did and call it manager and do all that stuff? Or what does that mean for me when I buy with you, Antoine?
Yeah, so buying turnkey means that my company will go out and buy a property, we'll renovate it, we'll rent it out, we'll put a property management company in place, and then we'll sell that property to you. We'll help you get financing, insurance, and then I'll give you my whole property management team on the ground to help manage the property. So
what more do you want?
There's literally nothing else.
For the people, man. For the people. That's awesome. That's fascinating. I'm really, that's really dope. So that's one subgroup. Were you going to say another group?
Yeah. And then there's another subgroup. So we started, again, bringing in some partners for our multifamily side of things. And we're not doing syndications. Literally, I'm bringing like 1 to 2 people on every deal who has like 100 to 200 grand saved up and wants to skip the turnkey. And so, if anybody has over 100 grand and they want to just partner up and do deals together, then that's another great place to do it. And yeah, it's not a syndication. We're doing joint ventures on those deals. Yeah.
Word, man. Same page. That's awesome. Good for you, man. Really happy for you. What's the question you wish I would have asked you, man?
What?
What's the question you wished I would have asked you that I didn't ask?
I don't know. We talked a lot here. What are we at? An hour and a half?
Oof, you got some juice. Don't worry. I will be sharing the juice with the community. I'll be chopping up segments. That was a good one, man. I had to. You were flowing, man. I couldn't stop.
I know, man. I know. Question I asked. I guess I think we talked about it, about what's next, but or what my long-term goal is. But again, for the turnkey side of things, it's keep scaling up that business, and then multifamily just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually getting into syndications, because I do have an audience that I think, trusts me and, has learned along the way, and now they want to start investing in those deals. So just scaling up, and, the goal is in, 10 years to have 10,000 units, and also to retire my parents in the next couple of years through all this cash flow and stuff like that. So those are a couple of lifelong goals that I want to achieve.
I have no doubt that you will get there, man. I double down on you if you were stuck, my friend. So keep it.
Stuck.
That's awesome. Let's get to the next. I'm giving you branding plugs, man, all over. You got the comps hacking. You got the double down. I'm putting it out there, man. You remember where you heard it first. He's gonna come up.
Thanks, bro.
First. I better get some love. Comp hacking. That's the move, man. Listen, man, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate you offering all this value to us, value to me, man. I'm a student of the game as well. I'm benefiting from this as much as anybody, and that's how you came up too. So I know that you can understand that. So thank you so much, man. We will definitely check you out very, very soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, man.